Before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because every view helps us tell another story of courage, loyalty, and the quiet heroes who still believe in doing what's right. At first, it looked like just another busy morning at the train station. Announcements echoed, shoes scuffed against tile, and people hurried towards somewhere else. In the middle of it all, Officer Eddie Murphy walked beside his canine partner Balto, a black and tan German shepherd with eyes that seemed to see before they looked. They'd been partners for 6 years. 6 years of long shifts, of late-night calls, of catching what others missed. But this morning the air was different. Not loud, not dangerous, just watchful. Balto slowed, his ears tilted. His nose caught something that wasn't scent, something quieter. He froze. Eddie followed his gaze. A woman in a blue coat was guiding 3 children toward the ticket gates. Her youngest, a girl of maybe 9, lagged behind. Her hand clutched her mother's tightly, but her eyes were wide, searching. Balto didn't blink. He stepped forward once, muscles tight, tail still. "What is it, buddy?" Eddie whispered. The dog didn't bark. He just stared. The girl tapped her fingers against her mother's back 5 times, a pause, then 5 more. It wasn't fidgeting. It was a signal. Balto took 1 step closer, then another, the leash drawing taut. "Balto, heel," Eddie said under his breath. But Balto didn't stop. He'd already heard something no one else could. When the woman tugged the child forward sharply, Balto barked, loud, commanding. Heads turned, the crowd rippled in confusion. Eddie felt the leash pulse with instinct. He'd learned one rule long ago. When Balto reacts, you listen. He moved forward, badge flashing. "Ma'am," he said, steady but firm. "Hold on a second, please." The woman turned, face pale, smile too careful. "Something wrong, officer?" Her voice trembled, but not from fear of authority, from fear of being found out. Eddie knelt to the little girl's level. "Hey there, you okay?" The girl didn't answer. Her lips moved, soundless. "Help us." That was enough. "Balto," Eddie said quietly, and the dog's stance changed, from watchful to ready. Within minutes, backup arrived, and within an hour, what had looked like a normal family became the start of something far larger. Inside the woman's bag were forged IDs, fake passports, and photographs, dozens of them, of children who hadn't come home. By mid-morning, the train station had returned to normal. But inside the precinct, nothing was normal anymore. The woman's name was Clarissa Dane. She sat behind the glass, pale and shaking, hands wrapped around a cup of water she didn't drink. Across from her, Detective Harper Lynn laid down a thin black notebook. It was found hidden in the lining of another suspect's jacket. Owen Pike, a man Clarissa had identified with something close to terror. Eddie stood beside Harper, arms folded. The pages were filled not with names, but with codes, tide charts, ferry routes, numbers arranged like poetry that didn't want to be read. Harper tapped the margin. "See these dots and dashes?" Eddie nodded slowly. "Morse code." "Short fragments," Harper said, "like someone labeling cargo but without ever saying the word cargo." Clarissa's voice was hoarse when it finally entered the room. "He doesn't write names," she said. "He calls them threads. If you pull one, he follows whatever tightens." Eddie frowned. "And this?" He pointed at a symbol, a small 8-pointed star drawn in pencil. Clarissa hesitated. "That's not a star," she whispered. "It's a compass rose.
Time is running out.
The route leaves the harbor."
If you don't tell us what happened right now, I
The
can't help
silence
you.
that followed felt like the tide holding its breath. Then Harper pulled out another evidence bag. A thumb-sized black drive taped inside Pike's phone case. "No SIM, no label," she said, but the directory's full of dates and 3 letters, V-A-N. Van? Eddie asked. Clarissa's eyes flicked up. Vance, she said
Time
softly.
is running out.
You'll never
If
see
you
him
don't tell us what
first.
happened right
You'll
now,
just hear
I
what he's
can't help
built.
you.
Balto shifted near the doorway, ears pricked
Time is running
toward
out.
the faint
If you
hum
don't
of
tell us what
machinery
happened right
down the
now,
hall.
I can't help
He
you.
was listening to something no one else could hear yet. Then a young
Time is
officer
running out.
stepped in.
If you don't tell us what
Detective
happened right
Lynn,
now,
Harbor
I can't help
Control just called. Buoy off Cutter's Point is malfunctioning.
you. Time is
Bell's
running
been
out.
ringing
If you don't tell
irregularly
us what
since
happened right
dawn.
now, I can't
3
help you.
short, 3 long, 3 short, then nothing.
Time is running out.
Eddie
If you
stilled.
don't tell us what happened
Balto's
right now,
tail
I can't
lowered.
help you.
His body turned toward the sound only he understood. Harper
Time
glanced
is
at
running
him,
out.
then at Eddie.
If you don't tell us
That's
what happened right
SOS,
now, I
she
can't help
said.
you.
Someone's using rescue signals as bait. By afternoon, the sky over the harbor had gone gray. The kind of gray that holds its color like a secret. Eddie steered the small patrol skiff through the chop, one hand on the throttle, the other steady on the console. Beside him, Harper monitored the receiver from Harbor Control. Clarissa sat mid-bench, silent, eyes fixed on the horizon. Balto stood in the bow, body balanced, every muscle reading the language of the wind. Telemetry went strange around 6 a.m., Harper said. 3 short pulses, 3 long, 3 short, then dead. Eddie nodded. And again? Zo oasm 40, Naurdzisnin 22, 11:15, then quiet. Clarissa's fingers twisted together. He's mocking the world, she said. He likes when people chase echoes. Balto's ears snapped forward. The buoy came into view. Red, weather-beaten, its bell still. But the sound wasn't coming from it. It came from behind. Soft, distant, metal on metal. A rhythm that wanted to be Morse, but had forgotten half its lines. Balto's breath changed. He stared into the fog as if the water itself had spoken. Eddie throttled down. A small fishing cabin boat drifted behind the buoy, its name half peeled from the hull. Morning Tide. Harper read the chart. No mooring here, no registry. Eddie hooked the rail with a gaff and called out, "Harbor Patrol, anyone aboard?" Nothing. Balto leapt the gap first, landing silent. He sniffed the door, lowered his body, then looked back once. Eddie pushed the latch, unlocked. The smell hit first. Salt, oil, antiseptic, and something burned that shouldn't have been. Inside, a small bell hung from a string near the ceiling, tied through a pulley to the anchor rope. When the swell rose, it tugged the bell, and the sea itself spoke SOS. Harper exhaled. He made the water ring the alarm. Clarissa's voice cracked. He's not here. Eddie stepped farther in. A cooler sat against the wall. Balto pawed it once, then backed away. Inside were photos, USB drives, laminated tags. Eddie picked one and stopped. A girl smiled at someone off camera, sunlight haloing her hair around her neck. A silver anchor charm. He didn't need to read the name on the back, but it was there anyway. Elena Caldwell. The world tilted. 2 years ago, Elena had gone missing on Eddie's watch. They had searched for days. Balto had picked up her scent, but the rain had taken it before dawn. Balto looked up at him now, silent, as if to say, "This time, we finish it." Harper was flipping through coordinates. Pier numbers, locker codes, D17. Then she froze. VAN. Clarissa whispered, "Vance." The name slid through the cabin like a chill. Then a sound, a motor. Small, close, careful. A gray outboard emerged from the fog. A man stood at the helm, posture neat, movements precise. He never looked at them. He tossed something into the cabin, a black cylinder, Sayre, and turned his engine hard. "Smoke!" Harper yelled. Eddie grabbed the device, felt the hum of a cheap timer, and hurled it back out the door. It exploded in a hiss of white fog. Harper coughed. Clarissa covered her face. Balto climbed above the smoke, nose high, steady. Through the haze, Eddie saw the man's boat cut away toward the pier. "Vance," Harper muttered. Eddie didn't answer. He was already untying the lines. Balto stood at the bow again, a compass that never pointed wrong. The chase wasn't over. It had only just found its direction. The fog held its breath as the skiff slid beneath the pier. A figure waited among the pylons, calm, exact, folding a rope like prayer beads. Vance. He looked ordinary. Clean collar, steady hands, eyes that counted seconds instead of watching people. When Harper called out, he didn't flinch. "Hands where we can see them." Vance smiled slightly. "You're on private property." The words were neat, precise, trimmed of emotion. Balto stepped forward, silent authority wrapped in fur. "Fine dog," Vance said softly, as if admiring design. Then Eddie saw it, the cooler behind him. "Step away from that box." "Open it," Vance replied. The way he said it was a trap shaped like politeness. Harper opened it anyway. Inside, bracelets, phones, drives, not victims, but a system. Each object a piece of someone's life, stolen and cataloged. "Where are they?" Harper demanded. Vance looked up. "Moving," he said simply. The word hung like fog. Direction without distance. He dropped the rope, threw a small blade down the deck to distract them, and ran. Balto leapt first. No one saw where he launched from, just the blur of fur and will. Vance spun, boxed in by teeth and heartbeat. He stopped because men like him always stop when order breaks. Eddie cuffed him in silence. Sometimes justice doesn't roar. It just arrives, breathing steady beside you. Night came in sheets of rain. Dry dock D-17 waited like a secret too patient to die. The lock gave way. Inside a laminator, blank wristbands, 5 children's backpacks lined on a shelf. Each pocket hid a smartwatch that blinked with ghost codes, QR signals rotating every 2 minutes. Harper muttered, "He used time as camouflage." Eddie found the last backpack. Inside the tag, a name written in a child's hand, Elena. The memory hit like cold water. 2 years ago. The case they never closed. Balto pressed against his leg, grounding him back in the now. The radio cracked. Unit D-19 reports a white panel van leaving east 10 minutes ago. Eddie's pulse hardened. They ran. The bridge lights turned to a river of red. The van didn't slow. It carved the emergency lane like a dare. Eddie pushed through traffic, sirens converging from both ends, then an exit into the industrial strip, the old rope works, concrete, rust, and apology. The van slammed to a stop at a half-open dock door. Eddie saw shapes inside, small, still, afraid to believe rescue could sound like sirens. He and Balto moved as one. "Police! You're safe!" No gunfire, only breath and disbelief. 5 children, then 6. One boy older than the rest stepped forward, a tiny anchor charm in his hand. "I found it on the floor," he said. "It has her name." Eddie took it gently. Some debts, he thought, are finally paid in silence. Balto turned, nose lifting toward a darker corner. A small office door, locked. Eddie broke it with his shoulder. Inside, a laptop syncing data to nowhere, a progress bar crawling toward erasure. Harper yanked the cord. The screen died mid-number. She exhaled. "Got you." Outside, the storm eased. Sirens softened into the sound of blankets being wrapped, names being whispered back into the world. Clarissa stood near the dock, crying without noise. Mia clung to Balto's neck like the only truth left. By dawn, the harbor had learned how to breathe again. Seagulls replaced sirens. Coffee steamed through open doors. Eddie sat on the low wall beside Dock 4, Balto at his side, eyes half closed but never asleep. He turned the anchor charm in his hand. You brought her home the long way, he murmured. Balto leaned into his shoulder, the only answer that mattered. Footsteps approached. Harper, Clarissa. Harper carried a folder, tired but alive. We got the data before it wiped, she said. More locations, more kids we can still reach. Clarissa stared out over the water. Does it ever end? Harper's voice softened. Not everywhere, but it ends here. Eddie nodded. That's enough for tonight. Then Mia appeared, wrapped in a blanket like a tiny cape. She walked straight to Balto, rested her forehead against his collar. He hears when it gets quiet, she said. Eddie smiled. He does. She opened her palm, a small screw, silver, harmless. Found it on the floor, it rolled to my shoe. He took it carefully. We'll keep it with the anchor. Mia tilted her head. Is the story over? Eddie looked at the horizon where the sun touched the water, and for a moment, everything was simple. For tonight, he said. For us. The buoy off Cutter's Point rang once. Not a cry for help. Just the sea remembering how to breathe. Light slipped through the clouds, and the harbor, for the first time in days, was quiet enough to believe in morning again. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there there's another officer, another dog, and another silent signal waiting to be heard. Sometimes heroes don't need capes or fame. Sometimes they just keep listening.